Over to live. Here we are, everybody.
Hi, everyone.
What's up, beautiful people? It's episode 156. Ah! It's 156 time, baby. We're gonna get weird with it.
Everyone's
guess
name
what we're gonna
labels are in
talk
the correct
about?
spot. Okay. All right.
It's not DKMU.
Oh, what? Oh, right. So
I'm joking.
Aliens are real and TikTok's getting banned. Come join us.
There you go. There's the
actually,
topic.
probably. So let's dive into it. Scott, remember the last time that we chatted? It was like maybe about a month ago, right before Christmas, and you were talking about
Drones.
the drone situation in like everywhere.
I do remember that, yeah.
So that spurred me down an entire chain of events that's changed my entire life, and I don't know if you expected that. So, y'all, I started looking into this phenomenon, and it was really crazy. So I started categorizing a whole bunch of them on a Discord. I ended up like chatting with a friend again, and because he reconnected with me, and then he added somebody else to the Discord who he met on another server, just like really fucking recently. So it was just like this, like he had met him within the past 2 weeks, and then he was like, "You're fucking cool, come on over here," right? So he brought him over to my server, and this was like when I was actively looking into this phenomenon. So he's like, "Yo, what's up, you guys?" And I like we were chatting, and he was cool, and then like it was like the second time I talked to this guy, and we were in private chat. It was not private, but it was just the two of us. So I just was like, "You ever had any experiences with UFOs before?" And he's like, "That's so out of left field. Why do you ask?" And very synchronistic too. And I'm like, "Oh," and like, well, because like I've had experiences, right? And he went on to tell me about like he was really good about giving me like just little bits of information at a time without fucking overloading me and allowing me to like look into this myself as I go and like keep giving me the next piece after that. So I'm pretty fucking certain what we're seeing up in the sky is not drones. There's some kind of anomalous phenomenon. You can use the term UAP or UFO because I don't care if people think that the word UFO is primed to mean something. It is an unidentified flying object. UAP is unidentified anomalous phenomenon. When I use these words, I'm not telling you it's something specific. In fact, I like to veer away from even saying it's aliens, right? Like I like to say we're probably dealing with a non-human intelligence because what we're starting to see with all of the evidence that I've looked at over the past 2 to 3 weeks really indicates that there's a large amount of evidence in the skies from what me, other friends and personal witnesses, and like also video evidence I've seen is showing. Now, the problem is we also had this conversation on a separate Discord with friends of mine that are completely not believers in this. My friend said, "I think the single greatest point against the UFO phenomenon is the fact that we live in a world with cameras in everybody's pocket, and yet nobody's been able to accurately take a video of this." But then I like counter her with, if I showed you videos, would you believe it or would you say it's video editing? And she couldn't answer it, and it was a good point because like it's not the fact that we don't have videos. It's the fact that we can't trust what we're seeing because there's so much disinformation around there. And like literally if you go onto like the UFOs subreddit, there's this video that keeps getting circulated onto all of the UFO Reddits because there's like tons of them now. And it's just a specific type of airport that requires people to pull in parallel with each other because it's like only a very singular runway and you have to like line up to queue in for it. The airport does it constantly, right? Somebody's recording planes pulling in and flying down at a different angle and then speeds it up in the interval to make it look like one is shooting off at a very high acceleration, but they've also pulled all of the audio from it so you can't tell how much it's being fast forward, and there's a lot of disingenuous bullshit behind it. And then the biggest thing debunking it that I saw, somebody literally posted a video of the airport from a different angle, and the moment you could see the other angle, you realized exactly then that this was planes being sped up, right?
Okay.
So there's like a lot of bullshit out there that muddles the water. But then you get these other videos that are like literally fucking military captured from like F-16 jets or infrared cameras when they try to attack these things and like literally fucking shoot the missiles at them and stuff, and they're like immune essentially. People are like finding metal that's dripped off of some of them because a lot of them are like fiery orb ones. I really encourage everybody to look into this with while taking it with like a grain of salt, right? Because there is so much disinformation in there. If you're going to jump to believe everything that can be easily disproven, it kind of hurts the movement, right? But like I had a close encounter when I was much younger, and I had like close to 6 witnesses. Like I saw the craft up close, like about 100 feet away from me. I'm sure I've told the story on here before. I sped off, picked up my ex-girlfriend, used her phone and had her put it on speakerphone while I was driving back so I could talk to my mom and sister because my phone was dead. And I asked them to look out the deck to see if the craft was still there, and they both saw it. And I talked to my brother later on about it, and he had actually seen it just completely by himself while he was sitting at the skate park having a bong toke. So that's 3 witnesses right there with my family, then myself and my ex. We all see it that time because the craft waits for me to come back and pull over to the side of the road before taking off at like faster speed than I've ever seen jets even travel by orders of magnitude without making a single sound, right? I didn't even believe in UFOs at the time. I hadn't even doing energetics. I was like only a pot smoker, and I didn't smoke and drive. I literally was fucking completely
I remember
sober.
those days.
Yes, I was like 21 years old, right? This was like way back in 2011 or some shit. Like it was really early. 5 witnesses for that, okay? And then when I told people, I was ridiculed relentlessly for like at least a year. And then Thanksgiving rolled around, and while driving back from it, one of my friends, Andrew Eyre, saw it as well when it showed up for a second time. And then we chased the craft, but you never catch a UFO in a car, right?
No.
And then he rode with me back to our house for about 20 minutes, dead fucking silent. He didn't say nothing. And then afterwards, he was just like, "I'm sorry I called you crazy." And I didn't even hold him against it because I was like, man, I'd have called me crazy too. You know?
That's the difficult
At a certain
part.
point, yeah.
And I don't claim to know what it is, right? But I've had a close encounter of the first kind multiple times, and what I specifically saw was a flying saucer. I've also seen Tic Tacs in the sky. I've seen really long fucking rods. I haven't seen any like triangles or cubes. But like a friend of mine just recently, after we were looking into this phenomenon and we like accidentally developed an egregore to put people in contact with it. It's been a whole fucking thing, y'all. She had a close encounter with a cube that was flying low height in Toronto in the fucking streets downtown, okay? She had a cube about the size of a car fly over her about 15 to 20 feet in the air, okay? And she lost her fucking shit because, like, that's... Imagine, like, a fucking cube flying in between fucking, like
a car
skyscrapers.
fly.
That's
Anything.
fucking it's
Anything the
ridiculous.
size of a car flying above your head
Exactly.
at street level is like that does
and not
not
making
compute.
a noise. And not
Yeah.
making a noise. And it was like a cube that was spinning, right?
It's not a
what
magic
the
carpet
fuck is
here,
that?
so
So yeah, we've been seeing a lot of phenomena, and to be critical about it, I've been using flight trackers and planetary sky watching apps to show you meteorites, satellites, planes. Like, if it has a flight tracker, I know what it is, and if it's a satellite, I can verify it, okay? We have all who've been watching this now have found multiple sightings in, like, if I were to go out to watch for a night tonight, I would guarantee to have an event. Like, it's starting to get like that. And I don't know if it's always been like that or not, but it seems to respond to us, like, observing it as well, right? Because, like, I went to go, there was this other one that I saw that was like extremely bright. It was after a day where I basically lost my health insurance because of reasons, which fucking sucks. I had to get downgraded a tier because of how the strike hit a lot of people in Ontario, and I'm not going to get into the details of it because it's very political and I don't need to do that here. That's like personal private union politics. I work in this separate. But I was upset and I was like really trying to reach out to like something to let me know that it was going to be okay. And when I got home and I looked out the window, it was like sunset and my window faces east. It hadn't even set yet, right? It was like right before dusk was kicking. And there was like just the brightest fucking light I've ever seen in the sky that is not the sun, right? It's not close to the sun, but the only thing that's even remotely close to how bright it is the sun. Like imagine the brightest searchlight you've seen. Now magnify it by like 2 or 3 times and point it directly at you from the sky. Okay? I had no fucking clue what it was, and I watched it for about 2 minutes, and it was like bright, almost like white blue light. And then as soon as I went to go take a photo of it or like take a video and I pulled my phone up, it just turned immediately then and shot into a cloud and disappeared. So like shit's been fucking weird, y'all. And like people who've never even had these experiences are having them now, right?
Yeah, I haven't seen a UFO, like anything that looked alien, I guess. But I did think I seen one of these drone things. It just looked like a tiny black helicopter. Scott, have you actually seen one yourself?
No, but Darian's sister did when she was walking her dog in the beginning of the winter. So like this dark had started like just setting early, you know.
Yeah.
And she was walking Daisy, and she was at the Navy Yard. And
that's crazy because basically that's where we saw ours. Almost in the same area.
Yeah.
And it was
Hold up,
flying over.
there's not by any chance nuclear weapons there, is there?
No, there's no. There probably may have been at one time, but the Navy Yard is. I mean, there is ships still there. There are but I don't know if they're old. I don't know if they're longer in use. There are like naval ships there with like guns on them, but I don't even think we have any ammo or anything on them. I think they're old.
The reason I ask is because I watched an extremely good documentary. I'll actually link. Don't mind the fact that it has Trump's face on it, just because like it's trying to be a little bit more clickbaity. He's only brought up for a very brief moment in it. Let me go find it. But it's basically about how we've been having UFO and UAP phenomenon over US nuclear arsenal for essentially the entirety of people having nukes. And the UFO phenomena didn't get as extreme as it's gotten until we started using nuclear detonations on the planet, right? And there was like a flyby that happened in 1952 the White House that they said was I have a source for that too. Let me grab this because it says what the official explanation was. But like there was some flyby of an anomaly at the White House in 1952 and it freaked the government out. Here it is. They called it temperature inversions. Okay? And there was a whole bunch of these things flying by in Washington, and they buzzed the White House, and it scared the shit out of them. So they adopted a culture of ridicule to make people not believe that this is actually going on, right? Which all of this sounds incredibly fucking paranoid until you actually like have an experience yourself, right? Because like I was not a fucking believer to begin with on this. I was just like I had done magic before in my life, but I did not fucking believe in UFOs.
Like from a government perspective, like I get it in that you don't want to incite panic, right? You don't want to say, hey, millions of people, aliens are real, they're right here. Hell yeah.
I don't even know if it's about panic at this point. I actually think it's more about class war, right? Because realistically...
Now, yeah, like, on a surface level, like, I get not wanting to incite panic, but that's if the government actually did the rest of its job, called, like, protecting the people, taking proper precautions, measures, this, that, and a third. But, like, it doesn't do those next steps, so it's like, it's just evil, you know?
So, I mean, why the way I kind of view this is the fact that if I was in the government's position, I personally wouldn't want people knowing about this, because it creates a potential for there to be something outside the system that is intelligent and capable of interacting with us that could undermine the power structure that keeps those people in power, right? It's an external threat is exactly what it is. So I think it's in their benefit to not disclose it, because it keeps people disempowered, and a lot of people who are seeing are like working class people. They're like military pilots, or like actual like just like aviation people who like fly their own Cessnas, or like commercial pilots. Like, so many people have had these experiences, and all of us have been fucking gaslit and told that we're crazy. But like, how are you telling me that people all across the world have been experiencing this for actually millennia, and that like basically every culture everywhere has lore about this if you look into it? I'm not going to go into that too much because I don't want to speak for any culture in particular, but like, if you look into it, it's there, right?
If you read the stories in humanity, like, there's so much overlap between our beliefs and our experiences. It's just, it's ridiculous that we're still arguing about them to this day.
And it's funny because like certain things then go and muddle the waters. Like shows like Ancient Aliens will try and get answers on this and shit, but then you'll get people like, I think his name's Rick Doty, which everyone says is like a bad actor in the disclosure scene because he's like ex-CIA, but he always makes these really bullshit and like absurd claims that really seem to like pull people off track with getting anything done, you know? So like there's very clearly psyops going on to muddle the waters. Like people are literally editing videos to make it look like UFOs, to make people believe that edited footage is UFOs. Then if it's later disproven, like there's so much shit that's been added to it, because like, one, people want to get the clickbait engagement, and there are bad actors involved who don't have any vested interest other than like literally getting money out of Instagram account, get more views or some shit, right?
Which is no different than people selling bullshit tarot readings. You know,
exactly,
it's like they're just trying to make a quick buck on the fad or whatever.
And then there's also people there, though, actively sowing disinformation like Doty.
Right.
So you have to be really fucking careful when you're looking into this stuff. And that's why I think if anyone's really curious, the best things you can do is like download skywatching apps, like Flight Tracker is a really good one. Like the one that I have has the AR feature, so I can just like literally point my camera at a plane and it'll fucking tell me it's tracker. I can tell you where it's coming from and where it's going, right?
That's
and like what its information is. Military planes you can't get information on. There are just certain planes that don't have trackers, like I said, like military shit. You're not gonna, or like if it's like a police chopper, I don't think that they have to either. I don't necessarily know what the law around that is though, but I have seen things that are like very fucking clearly planes that don't have trackers, which is kind of sus. But like obviously the military is not going to let you have their fucking their information of where their planes are publicly. That'd be a fucking massive security risk.
Yeah.
So you can't just treat every plane that you see that doesn't have a fucking thing on it like it's you know, bad. Oh shit, I left my pizza in the oven.
Oh yeah, don't want to do that.
It's okay, I didn't put it on super high.
Oh, okay.
I caught it in time.
I was gonna say in response, I had to do in response to, is there nuclear, I was like, I honestly I don't know, but I know that it's documented, like where if there's anything, if there is an area that has a nuclear project going on, it needs to be listed. It's on a map. And the closest thing to us is like a treatment facility in Buffalo, New York. So no, there's like literally like nothing in PA, like nothing in the state of Pennsylvania or New Jersey.
Okay, yes, but we can't trust the government to follow its own.
Well, yeah, no, I'm just saying it's
yeah.
As far as the law goes, after Chernobyl, they had to list where nuclear warheads.
Yeah, that makes sense, because it's like, if shit goes bad, we need to know where the bad shit's hiding.
Exactly.
God, just wait until there's an expose about the fucking hidden nukes list of like nukes that are actually in positions that are not disclosed to the public, but only the government knows. Because I guarantee you there's a tactical arsenal like that.
I really try not to think about nuclear weapons, right? Like the fact that they
Honestly, it's
exist,
the end of us all.
because it's
I
just,
understand that.
it's just like, what do you do? Like, I'm gonna kill everybody.
Not much.
Okay, like
You're gonna kill the world.
for what? Okay, like it's just, I don't know, that it just
But
kind of
the
blows my
reason I
mind that
bring-
we have that type of
Yes.
power.
So the
just
reason I bring
sitting
this
there.
up is because the documentary that I was gonna reference
Mm.
basically talks about how this phenomenon really does tend to center itself around our nuclear facilities, and how they've not only activated the warheads to spook people, they've also disarmed them before too.
So nuclear warheads have become active recently?
Yeah, I watched, not recently, no, this was actually quite a while ago. I watched
Okay.
the guy give a first-hand account about it. I can't verify for a fact that this happened, what the guy was talking about, and I've also seen some of the videos of UFOs shooting those beams of light at nukes and like missiles that make them fall, and like, yeah, it's pretty legit. I was pretty deep into this after I had my experience back in the day, and I was like on above top secret and stuff. So I tend to not worry about nukes actually, because all the evidence tends to point to the fact that they showed up really presently after we started blowing shit up, and they tend to be like, no, you don't, and they're acting kind of like adults in the room with a kid who has a gun.
Yeah, it's kind of like,
You know
hey,
what I-
don't push that button.
That's literally what it feels like. Is an adult had to come,
An adult
and
to your
like
adult.
an adult saw the flash from us fucking blowing shit up and said, "Oh no, what's going on?" Came home.
Perhaps it's
Stop
the
it!
gods.
Stop it!
The gods intervening, being like, stop it! Stop it!
You stop this right now. But no, I'm not gonna claim to know what the say that there's a lot of stuff that's not. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can now. You cut
Okay.
out for a second.
I'm not gonna claim to know what the phenomenon is. I don't really like to say it's aliens. I don't really like to say it's anything specific. What I do know though is we're not being told the whole truth. There's actively a cover up going on and a lot of disinformation there. And then I could really get into the rabbit hole bit, but I don't need to. I don't need to.
I think it's kind of. I think kind of where I'm at, especially with government stuff, is like we're never going to be told the whole story. You know, they're never going to tell us. Like our news outlets are, especially like mainstream media. You're never going to get the truth from there.
Never say never, homie.
Okay, sure. You think
I mean,
MSNBC and CNN are out here spouting straight facts? No, they're not. They're all bought.
I mean, yes, I agree with that for sure. I'm just saying, to us, never knowing, we might one day. We don't know.
Maybe. But yeah, completely lost my train of thought. Fuck that.
It's okay. I have breaking like Philadelphia government, kind of not government, but it involves the Sixers arena is in South Philly. It's not being built in Chinatown.
What?
Really?
Fucking for real. Like Inquirer just dropped an article like 2 hours ago. Comcast threw a shit ton of money, and they're like, okay, we'll build one in South Philly. Oh, like in the same area as all the other ones.
To make.
Get the fuck out of here.
Wow. I mean, that's.
I mean,
that's just gonna
I
fuck South Philly traffic even
like,
more than it's already fucked.
I don't know.
Scott, can you move up here, please?
I wish. I wish. I really do.
Come up here. We have more trees.
I want to like.
Oh, of course I can't see the article because it's behind a paywall.
Ah, yes.
I want your neighbor diagonally across the street from you guys to leave. That's what I want. With that big yard on the side. I want that. I dream about that yard. I was like, I would actually stay in the city if I could have that house.
If I could have that, yeah.
If I could have that, I'd stay here. I really would. I would literally move right across the street from you guys if I could have that house.
And make it so.
Manifested.
They have this, Sophia. They have this. The neighbor, like diagonally right across from them, has this big side yard, all grass. They don't really even do much to it. They actually more like container garden for having grass, which I mean totally, but like I would have so many projects going on this.
I have my
Hell
little
yeah.
patch of dirt in the back, but
Well-
it doesn't compare to what they got across the street, though.
Well, I'll tell you
I
all
mean,
what.
you guys have a nice yard, but
Yeah, it is.
I'll tell you all what. Canada gets annexed, I'll come on down because it'll all be America anyways.
I'm really sorry about
Anyways.
that too. I don't know what, like, I feel so bad. And the worst part is, I don't know if you saw, Sophia, there are like, do you guys just call your conservatives conservatives? Because I know, like, in like the UK, they call them Tories and stuff. Like, there's
We
different
call them
names.
conservatives.
Okay, like your conservatives were like
Right,
all
no.
like dick riding on Trump, and they were all like, "He's amazing," and like I would love it, and it sounds like such a good idea.
I know.
And I was like,
I
"You're
know.
just as fucking stupid."
I know.
What? Okay, so here's
This
something.
is also what really frustrates me a lot too, because like y'all didn't do this to me, but other Americans I've talked to have gotten mad at me and said, "Who are you about American politics?" And it's like, this is why, because something that people tend to forget is that American politics affect the entire fucking world.
They do.
Yeah.
We have
This
a
is the
ripple
perfect
effect.
example.
Yeah.
No, it's true.
There's a big
which is
ripple
what
effect.
I said.
Yeah, and I appreciate you saying that too, Scott. I really do.
Also apologizing to Greenland, Panama.
I know.
And
then they help.
anyone else?
They're helping.
The list
Sorry.
is too long. We're sorry to the whole
Mexico.
world.
Mexico, and then they have the freaking kindness and empathy to send firefighters to help us in.
And Canada sends water bombers from Quebec. Yep.
I was wondering. I figured Canada would. I hadn't heard about it yet, but I figured. I'm getting updates slowly because I feel really bad because like someone pointed out like a lot of history is gone. Like specifically like a lot of like Hollywood history, like Hollywood like artifacts, you know, like old screenplays and stuff. It's just gone. Like old like Hollywood memorabilia. It's just
is it mostly the
radio
affluent areas though?
Yep, that too. Mm-hmm.
It is mostly that. So it is mostly
not...
the rich quote unquote areas, right?
Kind of, but not always.
Not all of
like,
it.
It was the Palisades where it was original. I was just looking for the article that I posted in a side server. Kenneth Hill, New California fire erupts in the West Hills. It's called the Kenneth Fire. So now there's a second fire burning in LA on a different part of it. Just when people thought it was finally starting to go down, it got worse again, and they're talking about more red flag events. So it's been a lot.
I would like to take a moment. I know she listens to this podcast occasionally, and if you're listening to this, Sarah, I fucking love you, and I need you to stay safe. And we literally think about you every single fucking day. And I know I don't text you nearly enough, but yeah, my friend Sarah just literally relocated to California, like not even 2 months ago, and I follow her updates on Instagram, but
I have a friend too. I was actually talking to him when it was today. I was talking to him Friday night. He got evacuated, and well, he almost got evacuated, I should say, but the fire got so close that there was active fires he could take a picture of, like from his house. But that's how high the fires were, even though he wasn't getting evacuated yet. And thankfully, they were telling them that you might, so start to get ready. And him and his partners, I'm not sure, were getting ready to leave. Thankfully, the fires there stopped in enough time, going towards him. But him and his partners were terrified, and I felt so horrible because I don't have anything. I'm like states and states away,
right?
And I'm like
literally on the other side of the country.
Right, like I can't do anything. Like a part of me wanted to honestly be like, hey, like I know this is dumb, but like if anything were to happen, like I was gonna like talk to my mom and be like, hey, can we like host people? Like
yeah.
I know it's far away, but like can we,
But then it's like you have limited resources of your own too. You know, it's so difficult.
I also got to bring up how there's going to be a refugee influx because of this.
Yeah. Like Appalachia is still destroyed, and now LA is destroyed. Like these huge swaths of land, these big tracts of these huge metropolitan areas are gone, and these people are still expected to report to work, pay their mortgages. They're getting evicted. Like it's a humanitarian
there's also another
crisis.
Greater level of tragedy. That the insurance companies pulled fire coverage from their plans in April.
The law
and so
doesn't matter.
everybody who has had their home burned down has literally just lost everything that's not banking.
Right, and then it's like, what are those people supposed to do? Like, according to the current system in place, those people are just supposed to die. Yeah, just die, phase them out.
And you know what's
get on out of here.
If you know anything about how disasters work, there's a thing called disaster capitalism. Probably one of the most important books I could recommend anybody to listen to. It's called The Shock Doctrine by Naomi Klein. If I could ask everybody to just one fucking book in their life to understand our world, it would be that book, because it talks about how capitalism dovetails with disasters, and how if capitalism not only will cause disasters, profit off of them, but how even natural disasters like fires and earthquakes lead to massive wealth bubbles, because what happens is all of those people are now losing everything, and then what's happening is none of them have the money to buy anything, because if their insurance claims were actually to get filled, they could repurchase those lands and build on it. But now the public's been dispossessed from the land they've been living on, and it comes into people who have massive amounts of wealth to purchase up large swaths of that and do private development on parts of cities. And then turn around and jack the price up exponentially and make massive wealth bubbles off of people who've lost literally everything in their life.
It's already happening in Appalachia. It's been
happening though for like over 50 years.
Oh yeah, forever.
The history of disaster capitalism is like very well documented. That's why the book is so good. So now California is LA is all those people's homes are basically going to get turned into privately owned bullshit, and they can literally just fucking destroy.
And I'm sure billionaires will build some more mansions.
And by they destroy cities, I'm not going to go and say some paranoid shit, because a lot of people are saying really stuff like fucking space lasers, which is just dumb and racist and not true. What this is the result of not paying attention to ecological degradation. For example, how many fucking eucalyptus trees they planted, and eucalyptus is a plant from Australia that is designed to be lit on fire so that it can germinate its fucking seeds. That's why it secretes a flammable resin, right? But they planted them in fucking all Los Angeles.
I watched the Nat Geo thing on Disney that told me about that.
Yeah, and it fucking caused huge amounts of environmental degradation. And then you also have the lack of money going into American infrastructure right now that's causing like the collapse of this. This fire, it's not even a matter of not having enough. While the fire was burning, the reservoirs were full. It was a matter of not having enough piping and infrastructure to get the water supplied to being on the fire.
Also that wind. Right? They were dealing with hurricane force winds. It's
100 mile per hour winds.
What it is it's a perfect crisis, right?
Yes,
they don't often happen, but they do happen. And this was likely triggered by, again, failing infrastructure and power lines that are not being fucking maintained or are sparking off, that can then cause fires in a very dry area. Like it's just a matter of time of all of these elements of fucking entropy adding up to cause a crisis. Right? This is not some fucking space laser. This is not some fucking government operation. But also, let's be clear, the very real lack of money being put into infrastructure is, and that is a deliberate choice by the wealthy to let cities get so bad that they get destroyed that they can come in and purchase them and own your homes too.
And also
you have to really be aware of that, because that is the next fucking step.
With these natural disasters, also too, like sometimes, like ancient humans, if when a natural disaster occurred, that would have been a sign from the gods, right? Like, we've displeased the gods, something's going on. Oh, something very bad has happened, right? Now we have science, but yes, we do also still have our spiritual beliefs, right? To even me with all of my spiritual beliefs, I do not believe that these fires are the gods being mad at us, kind of thing.
Well,
it's not like a divine.
It kind of actually is. It's
like
not
a divine,
but like it is the gods of our earth. They're screaming, saying that we have disrespected the land for long enough, and this is the result. We only understand physical phenomenon so fucking materialistic. If anything was trying to get through to us, would it really be even to use something other than physical phenomenon?
What I mean is that we cannot blame it on the gods.
Oh, of course.
That's what I'm saying.
With
humans, we have a tendency to blame every fucking thing except ourselves.
That's true.
So go ahead, Scott. I hear you.
No, I'm supposed to know because I love it. Like, because both of you made it. I've actually been thinking about this very, very topic, and like how as an animist pagan person, because I hear Christians, right, like, because they're doing it already, right, like they're blaming queer people. Some are doing it in this impractical way where they're only blaming it because the head of the fire chief there is a queer person. And they're trying to come up with Trump and his administration are using it to make like low fucking below the belt pot shots, political pot shots at Democrats. It's all a bunch of shit. But anyway, but then of course there's like the whole like one person actually on a news, like the person was on site and you hear someone driving by and someone was like, it's because there's too many damn queers in LA or whatever, right? And people are comparing it to Sodom and Gomorrah, which that wasn't even what that story was about. But anyway, and it's funny because I think about what you said, Jay, about how you're 100% right? Like there's this thing within, as far as like historical goes, yes, within our beliefs, the gods would be angry in a way, right? Because in paganism, our belief systems and animism, we believe that how do I put this? We're not we don't see creation the same way monotheists do, right? So like the sun itself is Ra, is Apollo, is right. The wind itself is this, right? Like it is, right?
It is,
and so there's an immediacy that I've talked about many times before in animism and paganism. So like we're talking about like, and I argue with myself because I totally get where sort of like you sort of like you want to do you kind of feel it, right? Like especially as people who are connected to that, you kind of feel that this is sort of sorry guys, hold on, like not consequences, but like we do something and now there's a response to the things that we do, right?
Yeah.
And we kind of can feel how the relationship with the earth and nature and how this is the response that we get back, right? And I think for us, because we are pagans, we're animists, and we understand the supernal in a specific kind of way, right? And I think that even I sometimes am like, I don't want to sound like them, right? Like I'm not trying to say like, pillars of salt and all that shit. That's not what I'm getting at. You know what I mean? I'm getting at a very sort of practical sort of like, this is because we don't, we deny science. We hate people who read. They now, they rally against teaching. I was listening to some crazy bimbo talk about how not just critical race theory, but she really hated the emotional literacy initiatives that we were trying to create in schools. She really hated that. She's like, teaching kids empathy is left wing propaganda.
It's so absurd. We're having a crisis of empathy right now.
Right, and I'm if you can't tell, I'm like angry as fuck right now, and it's mostly because like like the
Welcome to the
amount
rage show, rage.
the amount of like queer phobia that I've seen. It's just like it's uncomfortable and
Disgusting.
it makes me violently angry once again, and like I'm really, really trying to control it. I'm trying to not necessarily be respectful. I really don't care about that anymore.
Hell yeah.
I've told plenty of straight people recently that, like, particularly the asshole ones, that I think queer people are just like we're the evolution in the species, and I think that they're subspecies. But I don't mean it. It's just I
Yeah.
God going hard
I'm like
over
really
here.
mad. Like when I tell people like my cis heterophobia is like really bad right now. Like I'm trying really, really hard to not with my queer superiority, but they're making it really difficult to not feel that way, and I feel a little bad for it because I don't feel that way about all cis hetero people.
No.
But there's it's enough. The same way, like I feel like making that excuse is the same reason why women are like, sure, maybe it's not all men, but it's enough. You know what I mean? It's so many.
Also,
So
ACAB.
like I can't sit here and be like, sure, it's not all of them, but the
But it's
problem is
enough.
that you're all insidious assholes. Some of you just are like, you know what, you do this placating thing, you know, where you're like, oh no, I don't mind if, like, it's just like the Trump supporters who are all like, no, I don't agree with him taking away, you know, like destroying queer families, you know, and it's like, you asshole, you fucking piece of shit. But like, you know, it's like you can't have, in this situation, you cannot have your cake and eat it too. You know what I mean? It just doesn't work that way here.
Exactly.
And that's why I made like my whole, I don't know if you saw I made like a Facebook banner, because like I'm arguing with myself about getting rid of Facebook and Instagram and just going to like Blue Sky and Neptune, because Lemonade's probably going to get taken away anyway, because Lemonade is a subsidiary of TikTok, so like that's going to go away.
Is Lemonade a real thing? I didn't know if that was like a scam. I didn't.
No,
Is it a real
Lemonade's
thing?
real, but it's ByteDance, so it's going to go away.
So that doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I stole a new one called Clip. I think it's literally
There's Clip, there's Fandom, there's Tome, and Tome is for book lovers. Tome is like, you know,
I heard about that on Book Talk. Yeah.
It's interesting this is happening to social media, because I've been quiet relatively on social media for a long time, and I've totally dropped off posting anything related to the podcast, because I just don't give a fuck about engaging, and I hate it. And it's funny because it was not that it was a New Year's resolution or anything like that, but I was like, oh, this year I should probably start posting more frequently, you know, on social media for the podcast at least, or for myself, and engaging more. And then now it just feels like, well, why? What the fuck's the point?
Hear me out though. A knife cuts both ways, and that's their biggest weakness, right? It's also something that we're kind of bad at on the left, is we will vacate spaces quick. The moment I actually saw that propaganda was going hard on Facebook, I had a light bulb moment. So they're not moderating anymore, right? Meaning I
now we
can
can
say
just
whatever
say
I
whatever
want
we
to.
want, yeah.
Oh yeah. And I've been going hard on saying shit I could say before. And I've actually made people who were posting propaganda delete their fucking comments with the things I said to them.
Wow.
So it works. And I in fact think getting very confrontational with them is a great use of making sure that knife cuts both ways, and we don't just give them a space to freely post shit without being challenged.
So instead,
I think it's time to fucking roll up our sleeves and knock some teeth out with words.
I kind of like that idea, because we are, like, me as I'm limited in what I can do, you know what I mean, like, in fighting back against this, and we're all limited in what we can do, like fighting back against all this, because like I was thinking about this in terms of X, right? Like, you know, Musk took over X, and now it's, you know, a bigger steaming pile of garbage than it ever was before. And, you know, there was a big mass exodus, and everyone went to Blue Sky. And yeah, I'm on Blue Sky, but like, why not just go on X and just flood them with our bullshit. You know, like
Yeah,
we
fuck
get
'em. Well,
flooded
actually,
with their
no.
bullshit. We'll flood you with our bullshit.
So X is a bit of a different beast because Elon is so personally involved with it. He will
Right.
actually go and ban you.
Right.
Gender. What
Which he's
Facebook is
doing.
yes, which Facebook has committed to just not moderating, which means that in Facebook it's basically an open brawl, whereas in X it's become officially an echo chamber. If you don't have talking points, they will like literally fucking ban you, right?
I might
Yeah, 'cause,
experiment.
like,
I
they-
still have the Witches Betwixt account for X, so maybe I'll do some experiments like fuck you, Elon.
yeah.
Love Witches Betwixt.
But yeah, so I made like I made a post just to like push back a little bit on social media, on Facebook, about I made like a banner. It says queer liberation, not assimilation, and I
Yeah.
used a really classic lavender triangle, which I really like. I
Mhm.
feel like the lavender triangle is like the queer war flag for me. It's, you know, it's what's raised when, you know, when progress is going backwards, you know what I mean? Significantly, I should say. Um, that's how I see it. It's, you know,
It's
it's
where
like
like
our
that
pirate
sacred
flag, you
rage
know?
comes from. Like
Yeah,
the white hot rage that is needed to like it's like the rage you don't want to pull out, but you know you have to, like the
and
survival kind of stuff.
I think too where it comes from, the history of the triangle, and
Right.
now we've many of us, like me, I turn it lavender because lavender was an empowerment thing for us, but instead of pink. But the history of that, you know, a lot of people like there's a lot of articles on it, but you can learn about how queer people were treated during the Holocaust and how we were left there after everyone was freed. And when queer people came home, they came home in disgrace,
Right.
not as like victims of war crimes. Um, and even the other prisoners in camps treated them poorly because they were queer.
Right.
And so I
God, kill me,
think
Scott.
I'm sorry. um and I think the power behind that, and you know, and it's funny because in some ways, and not to say that it's unequal in any way, I don't want to, you know, do that, but in some ways, I feel that even like with the witchiness too. Witches, cunning folk, the healers have always had a very similar, especially like in deeply Christianized places. It was this uneasy relationship with the person who could read, the person who could, you know, work roots and things. It was that same sort of like you were like, you know, you're relied upon, you know, for a good story, for a laugh, for, you know, your caricature, but you're never anything more than that, you know. We're
That's
even seeing
yeah. Like I say that all the time. I'm like all these people that are like all transphobic and shit. I'm like, how much gay porn is in your search history? How much trans
right
porn is in your search history? I want to see
there
it because I'm sure it's all of it.
there is so much conversation right now about the amount of specifically gay porn, gay male porn on cis hetero women's like search history.
That's
And once
interesting.
again, and
I
and I
want to
say this all the
know.
time, you know, and this is why I get really upset with the queer community as far as our pan, bi, and fluid um friends and family in the queer community and how the queer community treats them,
Right.
because I stand by the fact, and this might piss a lot of people off, and for those of our listeners who have straight partners, I'm probably not talking about your partner, but I don't trust I feel bad, I guess. I don't trust straight people with queer people. So like bi, pan, and fluid people with a cis hetero partner, there is it doesn't always end well, and I unfortunately feel really bad for them because I do not trust their cis hetero partner, and it is because of unaddressed bias. It is because of the insidiousness of microaggressions and the insidiousness of queerphobia and sort of the strange expectations that a lot of cis hetero people have of our queer family. They want to have sex with us. They want to look at us. They want to idolize us, exoticize us. But then they want all these things, but then they
But then they
don't
want to go back to
even
their normal lives.
right because they can,
Right.
and it infuriates me because this is why I'm specifically talking about our bi, pan, and fluid family members, because they feel rejected, oftentimes by us, and then they have to, many times, they're in that situation, so I can't imagine.
Yeah, it sucks being pan.
It
I was like,
infuriates me.
could we stop calling me out? Because I don't know how much more I can take.
Sorry.
Yeah.
No, because you're basically no. I was like, wow, you're absolutely right. Because like I Jay always he points I dated a line of cis het men, and all of them basically ended up abusing me, and I swore off men for him and Jay, and yeah, because also I felt like the gay community didn't want me because you're not real fucking gay, and
yeah, it's complicated. It's like, as a trans woman who's pan, I know that if I were to ever like date a cis man, and even if he was like a guy who is not, I would also be mocked by members of my community, which is also kind of fun too at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Like you just can't win, right?
No, because even if there's someone who is queer, like your life is just different. You see the world a little bit differently. You probably have experienced. I hate saying it's almost like I hate being like, oh, we're all trauma bonded, but we're all kind of trauma bonded together in a way because we've all experienced some level of injustice and trauma like directed at us just for being who we are, like no other reason so fucking ever. But I think what a lot of this is really coming down to, actually, you know what, I'm gonna call out the Philadelphia Gay News. I'm gonna be a little bit of a dick to our own community, so sorry, but I'm gonna do it. So, it was, I think it was like their first issue of the new year or whatever it was. I think I tossed the issue. I put it in the recycling bin, but I remember the gist of it. So, you can
it
look
was
up
the first issue of the new year. We
Yeah,
grabbed
look up-
it on like January 6th.
yeah, epgn.com. You can look up all of their issues online. It's all free, so you can view it there. But so they had a segment in there, was talking to the staff, interviewing the staff, like what's our goals for 2025? Like, what are we looking forward to? What are we doing? And now a lot of the people there are like, a lot of the people on staff are like, hey, just trying to survive, making it. And some people are like, going to protests and marches and, really trying to be involved in my community and stuff like that. And then the guy that works in the advertising department, who is queer, by the way, but he makes the most money. Anyway, so you know what he said? What his goals for the year were? His goals for 2025 were, it really doesn't bother me. It doesn't affect me. I do what I want. Because he's got money. He's got a real nice place in the heart of the neighborhood. He's making all that advertising commission money. Parks Casino is, fucking in the fucking paper and everything. So you're that much of a motherfucker, huh? Nothing applies to you, huh? Mr. Part of the queer community yourself. Nothing applies. Just do whatever you want because you got the money to. And that is what makes me right. Like, the class issue is the issue. If there is one, we have to boil it down to one thing right now, because we can't be like, well, it's racism and feminism and this and that. And it's like, yes, it is all of that 100%, but there is a class issue underlying all of it, and that is what needs to be addressed.
I heard a great quote from FD Signifier. If you watch him on YouTube, he pointed out how rich people are rich first before everything else, right? And to quote him, what he said was, Jay-Z is a billionaire, but black man. He's not going to care about black people the same way that somebody who's like not a billionaire will, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's just not how it works. So I think that's actually the most salient point I've heard on the whole matter. Your class comes before everything else because wealth is the number one insulator.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't really remember what demographic you are. If you're successfully wealthy and capitalist demographic, you'll be accepted. Look at Caitlyn Jenner. She doesn't get like hate crimed and shit because she's a conservative. She's voting for Trump and she fucking does all this real terrible shit, but she reinforces the status quo. And as much as we all really hate her for the shit that she does, she's like a perfect example of like the pick me who's gone and fucking done literally everything to throw her own under the bus that she can personally be okay. You know what I mean? And it's like, go ahead.
And I just kind of think about this class issue all the time because I see it even amongst just people that I know. You know what I mean? Like you know, people that make more money versus don't in the queer community. And that also translates over into our pagan, heathen, and like general occult spiritual communities. Most of us, we don't come from money, a lot of us. You know what I mean? And if we do have money, it's usually not money, like it's not powerful money. It's like I'm okay. I'm comfortable. You know what I mean? I have money for my bills and I can go on a nice vacation and that's really nice. But it's not like, yeah, I can fund this whole fucking project, you know, like let's start a fucking compound. Like no one has that kind of wealth like in our shared communities. And so that's what it's really coming down to, a class issue, because I think about this all the time. I'm like, when I get stuck in my, you know, bullshit, I'm like, oh man, I need more money. I need more money. And I'm like, well, why do you need more money? Are you being greedy? And I'm like, well, no, I need more money because my health insurance isn't paying for as much as it used to. And I need more money because like my bills are like, they're just charging me more for utilities and food is getting really expensive. Yeah. And I'm like, that's why I need more money. I need more money so I can survive, so I can live, because that's what we're supposed to do, right? And
inflation,
right? And then I fall into that trap, and it's like, you're working class though. You will never make enough money to get ahead to the next. It's like a level up. It's almost like they try and treat it like a video game, right? Like sometimes I fall into these fantasies. You're like, when I'm older and I have more money, there is no guarantee that is gonna happen. Because everyone that I've seen that has aged with less and less money. Like it's a class issue.
That is entirely what it is. It always has been, it always has been, and it always will be. And
that's always been my interpretation of that, the old phrase, you know, no war but class war.
That is what it is.
That's always been my interpretation. I know
that is literally what it's meant to
interpret, really, but yeah.
If there's other people interpreting it other ways, I'd say they're probably and trying to steer the conversation away from a useful direction, which is exactly what you just did. You know, you didn't steer it away. You put it in a useful direction.
I know what you're.
You know, yeah.
It's almost like everyone bring your W-2 to the march. Okay, if you are above this tax bracket, get the fuck out of here. You don't belong here. If you're in this tax bracket or below, let's fucking go. Because
the worst part is too, like the thing that drives me nuts about this now, like I hate that they use these really frustrating straw men to fight these conversations.
Yeah.
Where you kind of like, they shut the conversation down, right? They use things that look like, I don't know what you would call it, practical or commonsensical. They weaponize common sense and like they sort of use it as a way to like shut you down. You know, even something as simple as like trying to intellectualize. And what I mean by intellectualize is sort of the coping, the poor coping skill of trying to over intellectualize something to death. It's a process of trauma and stuff. But they try to intellectualize it to the point to where you can no longer like say anything, you can't get a word in. So like, you know, even down to like saying something as simple to this conversation as like, well, you're just jealous. You really just want to be, and you don't work hard enough and you're lazy. And
their opinions are fact. And it's like, no. That's
right.
You think I'm jealous.
That's not how this works.
I am not actually jealous. I am merely having a conversation with you, and our opinions differ.
Although
But yeah,
you're
you're jealous.
their opinions also happen to be wrong,
Yes.
factually
Yes.
and scientifically and ethically and
And sort of like back to the idea of like divine retribution, right? So it's like everything that's happening now is and isn't divine retribution. It is
Yes.
because yes, the gods are pissed,
Yeah.
the spirits are pissed. Fucking rightly so. And why are they pissed? Because collectively
we've been doing shit.
And so it's very difficult to be a pagan, an animist, or like anyone within that sort of spiritual wheelhouse, because you're at least for me it's difficult because I'm trying not to take on the blame of humanity. Like, yes, I'm a pagan, I hear you old gods, you're screaming and you're pissed, and we have collectively fucked up. I recognize that. I'm trying to do whatever I can to fix it, but there's literally fires everywhere. Like there's war here and fire there and disease here and disaster there, and we're like, like we're like that's the issue.
That's why, but I think that's where my that's why I'm trying to practice becoming comfortable with my anger.
Yes.
I realize a part of it is that and I talk about this a lot because I have part of my therapy process is I don't want to say too much, but from my childhood I have a lot of rage that with my DID, one of my alters kind of takes over that area, and rage for me is very bloodthirsty. When I talk about rage, I don't mean this in like a not necessarily just a metaphorical way. I mean this in there are times where I disassociate into fantasies of really intense violence.
Agreed.
Like blood and harm and all the things that I want to do to other people that and it's not like, and I'm not talking like about like the rude like cashier. That's not what I'm talking about. Like I'm talking about like last night my Instagram feed keeps pushing to me this red pill fitness bro. He's a complete douchebag. He has a scar tattoo on his left eye to paint a picture. And
Ew.
Yeah. And I actually argued with him on Christmas. He called me fat on Christmas when we were on Instagram because he based a lot of his content around creating snippets of fat people's content on social media, and then he'll like replay it and like has commentary about how fat they are. And
that's useful.
I blew up on him. I'm not gonna lie. I fucking I lost my shit, and I was just like, I'm fucking tired of this bullshit, and here's why you're an asshole. And all he could say to me was like, "You're fat," and I was like, "The sky is blue, water's wet, whatever."
Tell me something
when they only have one.
Know.
And and like, and the funny thing is like that's even after like because it's funny because like even in my response I was like, and before you come for my weight, I'm almost pushing 2 plates. I just pushed 205 for the first time yesterday.
Jesus Christ.
That's
yeah.
right.
And not for much, only 1 by 3, 1 by 2.
Scott, it doesn't need to be for much if you push to that much.
But what should I call it? Like, and I've lost like
I want a video
60. I lost over 60 pounds, although I'm struggling with the weight loss thing because weight loss hard. But anyway, I digress. And I said it. Like, I was like, I'm doing good. I'm doing what I have to do. You're still going to call me fat anyway. I literally called it out before he said it. So, like, it wasn't effective. You know what I mean? Like, I know what you're going to do.
To your goal weight, and you will still be called fat. Like, it will always happen. Like, it's just a fact.
Like, so I had and I had already did this. This was during Christmas. So anyway, he got pushed to me again. This time he was on some stupid ass tangent about fucking. Now I didn't know he was also like Christian red pill, but I should have figured because they tend to go hand in hand.
Yeah.
He was on some stupid bullshit about God's promise and the rainbow. And he goes, what did he say? He goes, the rainbow wasn't about you sucking dick for a career or some shit. Like, like basically saying, I guess that
rainbow's not for gay people.
Like calling queer,
yeah.
Which and it's weird because like there's there seems to be some like foreknowledge of sex work in the queer community, but of course they always miss why. It's always convenient how they miss why sex work is so prevalent.
It's like they think that
And
like we wake up one day and we're like, I just want to do fucking drugs, mutilate my body, and fuck bitches. Yup.
yeah.
No, motherfucker, that's not how it fucking works.
And
Holy shit, you are so wrong.
when I tell you I got so violently angry at this video, I don't even remember. I had like I think it was like 5 or 6 like paragraphs of why he was a dickhead written
Reasons number subsection A through
and I read this magic filth. Now I will say this. I did delete those only because not because I'm playing nice or anything like that. I deleted it because he doesn't care. And I don't want to waste my breath.
Yeah.
In that particular situation, that beast who poses as a man, he like when I told him in the first time we had an interaction where I said, you are just a broken little boy. I said, all of this is just the acts of a broken little boy that you never healed. And I told him like, you would do good with going to therapy. That's kind of how I ended my first response to him.
Who bullied you as the little chubby fat kid in school, and now you are because you couldn't deal with that. Now you're the thing that bullied you.
Right, he will reject it no matter what.
Yeah,
and he does it because like that particular video that got pushed to me with the whole rainbow stupid nonsense. He was trying. And that was another thing that made me stop, is that he was trying to get the attention of queer. Well, he was talking about leftists because they think all like left people, gay. Like they think all Democrats and left people are queer.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my god. But anyway,
that couldn't be further from sure. Like queer people on the left are like, okay, listen here, other people on the left that are not queer. We're just trying to survive, and they're like, let's have a parade for you. No. Health insurance coverage,
and they're like,
not trying to die.
Do you want to be on a panel? Do you want to be on a panel?
Oh, can you speak and be our diversity hire? No.
Yeah. Okay, but please, if you're gonna be our diversity hire, please don't rock the boat. We don't want you to do that.
Right.
Also, please try to minimize your existence if possible. Don't be seen in the bathroom, putting on makeup with cis women around. Like, we can't have that.
Yeah, we can't see any no little stubble showing. Okay, even though Martha,
and God forbid,
who's a cis woman who's worked here for 100 years, has a bigger mustache than anyone I've ever fucking seen. But okay,
and God fucking forbid, your shirt should slip off your shoulder, which is cis women do, and they can even wear a tank top. But should your shirt slip off your shoulder, written up and sent home for showing too much skin, which actually fucking happened to me.
I didn't know, like, my office dress code policy is very wibbly wobbly, but in the summer I wear fucking shorts and I don't care. Like, it's kind of frowned upon. Like, we're on the East Coast, so you should always wear pants, professionally, blah blah blah. When it's 90,000 fucking degrees outside, no, I'm gonna wear fucking shorts. So like, I wear shorts to the office, and all I could think, I was like, watch someone like say something. What, are you distracted by my legs? Do you find me like?
I still can't believe
it's distracting for you.
I still can't fucking believe they wrote me up for wearing a shirt that was just like, the neck was a little saggy and it would like slide off my shoulder occasionally, right? And that was like the whole fucking thing.
Egregious.
They wrote me up for and sent me home. And it's like, I still remember HR trying to explain to me like I was the one who was doing something wrong and like I was fucking absurd for not getting what she was explaining. And she like showed me different cuts of like shirts that'd be okay. And I'm like, you are a literal piece of shit right now.
It's covering my bits. That's all
that matters. There's nobody more evil than HR because they're working class people protecting corporations and people in power. I truly believe there is a certain level of hell that's explicitly reserved for HR.
It's a doozy of an industry, that's for sure. Sorry, Scott. I feel like we kind of hijacked your conversation. I don't know where we went.
No.
I see Rue is utterly destroyed.
I'm just mad, and
I was just gonna say, I'm okay. I'm okay.
I'm just angry and rage filled, and like, you know, yeah. So no, it's totally okay. I feel like I've gone on tangents, but you know, it's whatever. I feel like my point's getting across anyway. But no, it's all right.
It's really coming down to it's rage. It's just like, I'm so done with this. Like, we were in school being taught about all the civil rights movement, and look, life is getting better, and we're gonna keep pressing forward, and we're gonna keep going
like
forward,
for a
not
while.
background. You know, like we're
It
not
felt like,
going. Yeah.
I remember things like, you know, I still remember when we defeated Proposition 8, and in the early 2000s, I remember learning what that was for the first time, and it was my first time realizing that politics affected me.
Right.
You know, I was kind of a late bloomer to politics and understanding how it would hurt me. You know, I didn't really understand things about intersectionality and oppression, and you don't really know, but you're you know, it's when you do inhabit spheres of oppression, you kind of have to learn one way or another, you know. And it's often thrusted upon us, and I thought then that, and then maybe it was, maybe in some ways, you know, maybe there were things that were getting better. Maybe there still are in some ways, I don't know, but um it did feel more hopeful. And now you know, everyone talks about this um you know, this foreboding sensation that just seems to linger in the air. And of course, I know what it is, you know what I mean? Like for me, it's the 20th, you know what I mean? It's a couple days away, you know. And it's because, you know, it's because of fascism and oligarchy, and you know,
concentration of power.
yeah, it's you know, we're human beings. We're not collect like per our species, we're not dumb, and we have the ability to, very similar to our animal friends, we're able to sense when something is deeply wrong, you know.
But
And that's why everyone is so unsettled.
Right, but it's like all these years. I really feel like a lot of this has been this, like, to call it Christofascism is 100% accurate, because
It's
that
super
is
accurate.
what is fueling it. You don't see any other religious sect pushing this ideology this hard. So call it what it is. And I think, and you know what's frustrating too is that those same Christofascists also believe that they are the oppressed, even though they are not. Like, they fully 100 believe that they are persecuted, they are oppressed.
The myth
of
Christian persecution.
Yeah, like that constant myth of Christian persecution. It doesn't exist anymore, and I don't know why. It's like, you won, you know, like, in a way, it's like, you won. You know, most people are Christian.
And a lot of historians would argue as well that, like, and I can only talk about this from an ancient Roman perspective because that's the only way I studied it.
Right.
But even in ancient Rome, this is very similar to like the idea of like the burning times, you know, where people think about that, and it's like it didn't happen that way.
Right.
The ancient pagans and the ancient Christians, they existed simultaneously. There was a period where they did exist. Now, what's interesting is that that you leave us alone and we'll leave you alone, and that happened for a while, right?
Why can't we go back to that?
There would be pagans doing their thing and the Christians doing their thing, and that was all good. You can convert if you want to, not convert, whatever. And then once again, very similar to what happened in, like, you know, England and you know, Britannia, you know, slowly but surely it was like, you know, hey, maybe don't listen to those people. You know, maybe maybe it's a, you know, stay away from them because maybe they're not, you know, whatever. And it slowly sort of be like the wedge, you know, that otherizing,
but it was
you know,
such an insidious thing that happened in human history.
and it,
like,
right,
to have all of those religions like slowly stamped out. And then now all people know is Christianity, usually as their default. And then it just becomes this, well, I don't know, it's taken the flavor out of the world. It's taken, like, because, like, if people aren't fully Christian, right, then they're sort of this, like, nebulous, like, I don't know, like, maybe I'm spiritual, I guess.
Right.
And I feel sad for those people, because not everyone is gonna, like, be a priest, or, you know, not everyone is, like, super gung-ho into religion, but you also need lay people, you know what I mean? But, like, to have a sort of important. Like, to have this sort of, like, there's so many people that are just like, I don't know where I belong spiritually, I don't know, and it's because they have no knowledge of their ancestral faiths, because it's been stamped the fuck out. And then we've had this whole renaissance within witchcraft, neo-paganism, heathenism, like, all of it. Like, we have unearthed so much material, and the internet has been instrumental in that. And I feel like, at least for me, I just feel like our role sort of in this is to keep that knowledge alive. We cannot let it become
why the stories
wiped
are
out
sacred.
again.
Yeah. That's why the stories are sacred. That's why the lore, the old lore, is sacred, because that's how we're going to keep it alive. The internet's going to be bogged down, you know, with all sorts of, you know, especially, look at Australia, even only like a decade ago. They had so many restrictions on their internet, what they were and weren't allowed to see. You know, that wasn't only until relatively recently that they were allowed to just, you know, had free access to the internet, like we did or do for now.
Right.
You know, so yeah, I treasure the books now more than ever that I've collected over the years.
And I guess that's what it is like, we have that now. That's the feeling. That's the fear, that's the feeling, that sense of foreboding of, like, the things, like, it's going to be taken away again. Like, they're gonna try to take it away again. And it's like, if we fail this time, like, it's, I don't know, you know, like, that's just what makes me worry.
Well, you know what?
Guess, is if we fail this time.
It's personal.
Yeah, this time it just, I don't know, it just feels different. We have
Take
a lot
my
of knowledge
books over my dead body, basically.
Yeah, essentially. Well, we are like 20 minutes over our usual time, but it was good. We had, like, an off week. I like this conversation. It was a nice blend of kind of everything. And I think we kind of made some good points here. Any concluding kind of thoughts before we wrap up?
Do you want some leads that'll really down some rabbit hole?
What's that? Some leads to take me down rabbit hole?
Giving prompts that can look up to really send you down some crazy shit.
Sure. You are cutting out a little bit, though. It's kind of hard to hear.
Of course. So program gifted notification, but just program you should be able to find out about it. It's about, like, teaching kids psychic powers and stuff.
Okay.
The other thing you want to look into is the Human Genome Project, and why it's the Department of Energy who.
You cut out again.
Cut out
Sophia.
Completely. Department of Energy.
The Human Genome Project. Look it up and find out why the Department of Energy is on it, or what it is.
You mentioned a book earlier, Sophia, The Shock Doctrine.
Yeah.
Who is that by?
Yes, by Naomi Klein.
Naomi Klein, I was asking. That's Naomi Klein. I did want to give a quick shout out to people here in the chat. We have Kai here. Brian, always good to see you stopping by. And Dawn is here too. Dawn. We're still here. Oh yes, Brian, I am so glad that you were able to catch us. We don't always get to catch you when we're streaming. But yeah, thank you everyone for being here in the chat. Just wanted to give everyone a shout out. But yeah, that's Naomi Klein for the Shock Doctrine. What's that, Scott?
I do have one concluding thoughts. I like this is one of those thoughtful things. When I was talking about that horrible douchebag on Instagram, something that he said in his hashtags, he said the times are finally swinging my way again, meaning like towards like cis hetero male. And
like
I
it
want
wasn't
to
always
right, but I want to speak directly to queer people, and I want to and I want like tell your friends, you know what I mean, to remember that it's important that you keep I know I know it's scary and I'm scared too, and it's easier to hide, but like promise me, like even if it's just like this June and the June's coming up, you know, make sure you hang your pride flags in your window. Make sure you are still doing things that are obviously queer. I know that that's scary, and obviously do it if you can do it. I don't want to say safely because I don't know if it is safe anymore. I don't know how safe it will be. And it's up to you. I'm not going to judge you either way, but I think it's important that we're seen. I think it's important because he's not the only one that thinks like that. He's not the only one that thinks like, it's the time of the straight cisgender heterosexual, white male, like he's not the only one that thinks that, and that is not safe. It's not okay that they think it, and it can't be what people need to see is that it's not that. Does this make sense?
Absolutely. I have felt the same way. Now is the time. It may sound like now is the time to go underground in terms of your expression, looking queer, visibly queer, whatever. Now is actually the time to be louder, more
I
out,
think so
more
too. I
proud
really
than
do, in
ever.
every fiber of my being. I think so.
And is it dangerous to do? Yes. Like I'm not saying go door to door to all your neighbors and be like, "Hi, I'm queer." No, don't do that. But like wear the damn rainbow shirt, wear the hoodie, deck yourself out in the bracelets, like pretend like you're in high school again. Who cares? You know what I mean? Like show your
exactly
pride.
that. I like that.
Yeah, put the sticker on your car. Give your dog the little rainbow footies for the snow. Like do it because why not? You know what I mean? Like they have to know that we're here. We are doctors, we are nurses, we are working at schools. Like we're here. We've always been here and we're not
all the
going
same
anywhere.
things that they are, we are.
Yeah.
Right? Like
We're in the same
you
working
know.
class.
Yeah. Oh, that's really powerful that you said that.
Right.
Yes.
We are the
All
working
the
class.
things. Yeah. We're in those same spaces. Absolutely.
Exactly.
My closing thought, I just realized, so speaking like also spearheading off of that and being seen, if next Saturday, at least this is still the plan, is the People's March in Washington, D.C. We plan on attending with Rob and other heathens, under the Heathens Against Hate banner. And it's been a march that's been going on since 2017 that supports everything from women's rights to gay rights to just everything. It's literally it's for the people. And it's a pretty cool cause. So yeah, there will be a march on Washington D.C. This Saturday. That's January 18th.
This will be the first march I've ever been to. Because I admittedly sometimes have a negative attitude toward, I guess, organized protests like that. Sometimes I'm like, what does it do? But I've also never been to one.
Sometimes some are more effective than others. That is historically accurate. But things like this, right now, it will be effective because people are looking for. They want to see it. Right. If that makes more, it's going to be more visible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. The and that's what I was telling. The point. There may not be a point other than to be seen. It's like you cannot make us hide. You cannot shove us back in the closet. We're not just gonna regress 30, 40, 50 fucking years. Like it's not gonna happen.
We ain't doing that.
No. So yeah.
All right. Well, maybe we'll see some of you in DC. With that, I think we are going to head out of here for this week, and we will see you all in the next one. Yeah.